Hi there. I want to take a minute to talk about what everyone's talking about right now, the unknown number from Netflix. And I want to start off by saying I am not a licensed professional. This is just my personal read on it. I read people for a living, right? And why I'm here to talk about it is the trauma piece, right? That's what I do. And I want to help anybody out there that might resonate. Probably not specifically, this is an extreme case, but might resonate with like the mother daughter dynamic that was happening there with like codependency enmeshment. Okay. So let me explain that a little bit. Kendra was extremely like codependent. Well, there she created the codependency with Lauren too, right? Where she needed her mother. That's what she wanted. She wanted Lauren to just need her for everything. She wanted her to go to her for everything and kind of be that hero for her, right? But there's a codependency of like I really need you, really need me, and we can't be separate. So that's an enmeshment piece where Kendra, it's weird, I've got chills for this. Kendra is really like living her life through Lauren, right? So there's probably a piece of Kendra that felt like she didn't get a childhood. She mentioned something in there that I can't say that she experienced as a 17-year-old. But I think it goes beyond that for her. And honestly, with Kendra, it's hard to know what's the truth because she lies about everything. You can just tell. She just compulsive lying, right? I know we're not here to really talk about Kendra, but these pieces are important to kind of get the whole picture. So I'm not giving her any kind of what's the word I want to use? I don't want to give her any kind of acknowledgement or anything. I'm just speaking for you to help you, like kind of as an example, if you're experiencing this. So the enmeshment piece is a very hard piece because what probably happened, like Lauren did talk about that, right? Where she doesn't really know what she wants to do. She doesn't know who she is because she's been living her life based on what, probably a lot of it, what her mother wanted her to do or wanted her to say or wanted her, how she wanted her to look, right? It was all about appearances for Kendra. So, Lauren probably feels a responsibility to have a certain kind of presentation. So that's something she's going to have to work through. And finding herself is going to be the biggest piece of the trauma because of how involved her mother was in her life and how, you could just tell. I'm sorry, I got to stop for a minute. With that super uncomfortable hug that Kendra gave her, you could just tell, even though Lauren was hearing the information, like that had to be a bit of a shock for her, she still wanted her mother. She still wanted her mother, right? And that's because of the codependency and the enmeshment piece. So one of the best things that I think Lauren did was set that boundary. Like, hey, I'm not going to see you till you get help. So if you're experiencing some kind of situation, again, maybe not to that extreme, with your parent, it could be any kind of parent, but I'm seeing I'm talking about the mother daughter dynamic. If you're experiencing anything to where you start noticing, wow, I really feel like suffocated. I feel like, my mother is just really trying to take over my life or be part of my life too much. Set that boundary. Okay, set that boundary. Whatever that boundary is, and maybe you have to start small because you are, codependent with your mother and it's going to be hard for you to kind of break out of that, right? And then with the enmeshment piece, it's going to be really important for Lauren to, find who she is, figure out what she wants. And I'm glad she was talking about that in the documentary. It seems like she's really trying to, like, she's going to go to school and, figure things out. So that's like, I think the hardest piece though, because when you live your life through someone else's lens, like Lauren was doing, because her mother was so ingrained in her life and probably very, she's very manipulative. So very kind of, pushy on what she wanted. Right. that's the hardest piece, is figuring out who you are and what you want, because you kind of mold into this person, this other person. And yeah, I mean, obviously, the obvious thing is therapy, because, you know, every situation is different and people get affected different by these situations, right? So, you know, Lauren, I don't think this, I'm just saying, but Lauren could adapt some of Kendra's tendencies, like the manipulation, like the uh, codependency. That codependency, for me, I feel like is probably the big one, where you just kind of get codependent on other people because you had this codependent dynamic with your parent, with your mother. But, you know, unintentionally, Lauren might end up manipulating other people because that's what she watched her mom do. So yeah, it's, God, that situation is so, I can't imagine how that would feel for Lauren to have her mother do all of that to her. That's just so, oh my God. It's so traumatizing. I just, my heart goes out to her. So anyway, I wanted to kind of talk about that piece because I feel like, again, a lot of people, a lot more people than we think go through that. But I want to hear your thoughts if you've been through something like this. If you're going through something like this, you know, if you're not comfortable, you can message me. But I think it's really important that we talk about these topics, because that's how we get through them. That's how we get through the trauma.